Hello, all. Welcome to 4 Weeks Faculty Development Program on Pedagogical Methods for Outcome Based Education System organized by Department of Civil Engineering, College of Engineering and Technology, Akola. My name is Dr. Rashmi Taley. I am here to present before you inquiry based learning. Inquiry based learning is an approach to teaching and learning that places students' questions, ideas, and observations at the center of learning experience. It is actually a method that encourages students to ask questions and investigate real world problems. In this type of learning environment, students are actively engaged in learning process and are given the opportunity to explore their natural curiosities. This type of learning is often hands on and allows students to connect what they learn in the classroom and the real world. Inquiry based learning has been shown to improve critical thinking skills, problem solving skills, and creativity. Inquiry based learning is essential for the students to get hands on activities which will be involving questions, investigating the structures, designs, using evidences to describe, explain, and predict, connecting evidences to knowledge, and sharing of findings. Inquiry based learning starts posing questions, problems, or scenarios. It generally lies on teachers presenting facts and their knowledge about the subject. It is assisted by facilitator rather than a lecturer, and the learners identify the research issues and questions to develop knowledge or solutions. It is actually problem based learning and generally used in small scale investigations and project as well as research, which is closely related to development and practice of thinking and problem solving skills. Diving into the history of inquiry based learning, it is a pedagogical method developed during the discovery learning movements in 1960s in response to traditional form of instructions where the people were required to memorize information from instructional materials such as direct instructions or rote learning. We could call it as an antecedent to constructivism, such as the work of Piaget, Dewey, and Vygotsky, among others. They have considered constructivist philosophy, which is generating information and meaning based on personal or social experience. Dewey's experiential learning pedagogy comprises the learner actively participating in personal or authentic experiences to make meaning from it. Whereas social development Vygotsky approach gives an experience that is influenced by society and the facilitator. These experiences can be concluded as an individual or within a group. In late 60s, Joseph Squab called for inquiry to be divided into three levels, and later on, they evaluate the amount of inquiry within a particular lab exercise and then proposed number of revisions inquiries to take various forms, and then the spectrum came of inquiry based learning methods. Why inquiry based learning? So inquiry based learning is used as a teaching and learning tool for thousands of years. However, the use of inquiry within public education has much brief history. If we are only teaching that we know, our children can only do as bad as we are doing, and this is the challenge we are facing. We have to go beyond it. Yes, really, we need to go beyond uh, this thing, and hence, inquiry based education in today's era is more essential. What is the importance of inquiry based learning in teaching competency? Inquiry based learning is crucial for developing teaching competencies because it shifts teacher from information transmitters to facilitators and fostering essential skills like critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, and deeper conceptual understanding in students. By guiding students how to ask questions, how to investigate, and construct knowledge rather than just memorizing the things they've learned, building the complex processes upon their own capacity, promote engagement, cultivate skills in learners. The key features for inquiry based learning, it is high order thinking, learning driven by inquiry questions. Teachers learn to design challenges that require students to analyze, evaluate, and create, moving beyond rote learning. Problem solving and investigations, facilitation and guidance. Teachers develop skills in asking open end questions, structuring investigations, and moderating discussions, acting as guides rather than lecturers. Active student participations, student engagement and motivation. Teachers become adept at sparking curiosity and making learning relevant by connecting it to real world experiences, boosting student interest. Research and exploration, assessment for learning. Teachers learn to assess understanding through observations of the inquiry process, not just final answers, focusing on skills like evidence, interpretation, and argument. Reflection and discussions, deeper conceptual understanding. Teacher facilitate the construction of knowledge, ensuring student build robust and lasting, especially complex understanding in STEM areas. Adaptability and versatility. Teachers become comfortable with varied students' approaches, managing different inquiry models. So these are the importance and key features of inquiry based learning in teaching competencies, that is shifting in role, transmitting teacher from stage on the stage, skill development for teachers. To facilitate inquiry, teachers must enhance their own questions plannings and classroom management skills, real world relevance. So this would be reflections and point of discussions between the teachers and students. More than being a teacher, they would be working as a facilitator with their students. So these are the key features of inquiry based learning. So we've already discussed importance of inquiry based learning, develop useful problem solving skills. Yes, enable learners to cope with changes that will increase in complexity throughout their lives, provide learner tools for continuing their learning, attain important outcomes in the classroom. EBL process steps. We could sketch out different steps like identifying question problems, plan investigation, research and gather data, analyze results, then present finding, reflect on learning, Identify a question problem means what is it actually, how it works, what is the purpose. So we need to identify the problem, on what ground we want to make the structure, for what problem we want to make the solution. So this is the very first step in EBL process learning. The second step is plan investigation, that is conceptualization actually. Student refine their broad questions into focus, researchable questions or hypothesis. They plan how they will find the answers, that is what to research, that is planning investigation. Students actively explore, gather data from various resources like book, internet, fieldwork. This involves exploration, experimentation, and data interpretation, that is research and gather data. Analyze result is conclusion. They need to draw the conclusions. Student analyze the gathered evidences, interpret their findings, and form some conclusions to the questions, that is framing of answers to the initial questions. And they connect new knowledge to existing understanding, building deeper comprehension. Next is evaluation phase, that is present finding and reflect on learning. Students present their findings, arguments, and solutions to peers. They reflect on the process, the effectiveness of the method, and what they learn about themselves as learners. So, these are the processes in inquiry based learning. So, key characteristics, that is advantages of inquiry based learning when the steps enclubed are orientation, conceptualization, investigation, conclusion, discussion, and reflections. So advantages becomes that the student become more, the process become more student centered. The focus shifts from teacher led instructions to student led instructions, and this develop the critical thinking of the students. Enhance problem solving skill. Yes, it enhances critical thinking of the student, problem skill of the student, make their thinking more research oriented, and communication, build them the ability of teamwork. It improves research abilities, promotes teamwork and communication. It provides the adaptation to more structured, guided, or open ended inquiry for different learners. Uh, it provides a support, resource, and structures, and not just the answer. So, encourages independent learning. Yes, because resources are provided, or in the given resources, how come you will be framing the structures to the answers or to the questions of being the answer has to be provided. So these are the advantages of inquiry based learning. What should be the role of teacher? The teacher should be a facilitator, not the teacher. Rather than just delivering content, they should focus more on the real world problems. They should guide the students how to question, not what to question. Yes, how should be their thinking, that will lead to the more correct analysis in inquiry based learning. Since the teacher is shifting from lecturer to a facilitator, or he should be a co-learner, and they should, by their feedbacks, they should foster the curiosity and create an environment for exploring the thinking of students, asking open-ended questions, and making student more investigative rather than just delivering the facts. So these are the key roles of a teacher. He should be a resource provider, he should be a questioner, co-learner, he should be a content connector, he should give the ability of student to connect with the goals, help learning meaningful. So that will encourage the curiosity in the students to be more learning specific. How they should achieve this? So teacher should make a more careful planning in designing inquiry opportunities with the goals which are already set on. Observations, that is monitor students progress and identify obstacles or misconceptions. Take the feedback, offer specific comments on the ideas and methods, and not just give just right and wrong answers. Yes. uh, Modeling the learning, model the learners. Create a model, demonstrative model, how to find out the information more specifically to the given goal. Empowerment, encourage students to take ownership of their questions and investigations. So these are the roles of the teacher in inquiry based learning. What is the role of student in inquiry based learning? The student should be asking more relevant questions. That is, the student role will be shifting from passive recipient to active, that is, self investigator. They should drive their own learning by asking relevant questions. They should conduct investigation, that means they should explore their real world problems. They should design their own investigating process. They should analyze the evidences. uh, they should draw their own conclusions, and this will support them in lifelong learning. That is, they need to generate their own questionnaire, identify areas of curiosity, often starting with real world phenomena. They should actively seek information, design experiments, explore concepts. They work to understand complex problems, devise solution, apply knowledge in new ways. They should be collaborators, critical thinkers, communicators, reflectors, self directed learners. That they should take initiatives, manage their own learning process, build self directions and independence. So this is the role of student in inquiry based learning. Now, diving into the levels of inquiry, actually we could call it as four types of inquiry based learning. Four types, that is open ended inquiry, which is also called as open inquiry, then guided inquiry, structured inquiry approach, and problem based inquiry, that is limited inquiry approach. Now, level of inquiry, when we talking about open ended inquiry, the problem should be set by, in this open ended inquiry, the approach is more free from approach to inquiry based learning. Yes, in this type of learning environment, students are given the freedom to explore their own interests and ask questions about the topic they are studying. And this type of inquiry based learning is often used in humanity classes, where students are asked to explore a topic in depth and debate different viewpoints. So procedure is set by the student and solution is also set by the student. Whereas in a guided inquiry, the approach is a teacher led approach to inquiry based learning. In this type of approach, the teacher guides the student through the inquiry process and help them to ask questions and find solutions to real world problems. So here you can say the problem is given by the teacher, whereas in the procedure and the elementary things uh, and middle school classroom, actually they are set by the student themselves to find out the solutions. In a structure based approach, it is a sequential process. that help students how to ask questions and investigate real world problems. This type of inquiry based learning is often used in science classes where students are given by a problem by the teachers, and the investigative method is also given by the teacher, and the student they are finding out the solution. So how to use the scientific process to find a solution. So science practicals we people are performing, we've been provided with the aim, with the process we need to find out the answer. So this is structure based inquiry. Limited or confirmation inquiry, it is useful when a teacher's goal is to reinforce a previously introduced idea and to introduce students to the experience of conducting investigations, or to have students practice a specific inquiry skill such as collecting and recording data. Structured inquiry I've already told to you. Guided inquiry also we've discussed. Yes, open inquiry is also discussed. Now 5 e-learning model. The 5 learning model of inquiry: engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. The 5A model of education is a planning structure that helps teachers develop students centered inquiry based lessons and units. Students learn science by exploring their questions using the same approach. The scientists explore their questions too. By using this approach, the science teachers help their students connect scientific contents learned in the classroom with the phenomena from their own lives and apply that learning to new areas in science and beyond it. So 5E model is broken into the given sections, that is engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. In engage phase, it is generally considered to be opening the stage of 5A model and is used to inspire students' curiosity and should help students connect new phenomena to prior learning. Aim is to identify students' misconception that needs to be addressed through the lesson designed by the teacher. In explore phase, the student investigate the phenomena observed during the engage stage and answer any questions they have generated based on their own observations. And the level of inquiry may vary based on the levels, age, and readiness of the students. In explain phase, the teacher helps students piece together the information they've gathered during the explore stage, and the level of direct teacher instructions and explanations may vary based again on the level, age, and readiness of the students. Whereas in elaborate or maybe called as expand stage, uh, this stage determines if the students are truly able to apply the information they have learned to new areas and to the solutions of real world problem. Whereas in evaluate, the students evaluate their own learning and the teacher evaluates students understanding and ability to apply knowledge to multiple areas. Now some of the suggested activities for 5e model. What the teacher should do: teacher should observe the learners and then apply new concepts and skills. They should assess learners knowledge based on their prior skills. They should look for the evidences the learners have thought of, how learners assesses their own learning and the group process skills. how they ask open-ended questions, what they think, why do they think, what are the evidences, how would you explain it. These are the things that teachers should do. And what the learner should do, they should ask open-ended questions by observations, evidences, and previously accepted explanations, demonstrate understanding or knowledge of the concept of skills, evaluate their own progress and knowledge, ask relevant questions that would encourage future investigations. These are the things that teacher and the learner should look upon. Now, as we have 5E model, now there is an enhanced model of a 5E, that is 7E instruction model. It is an expansion of a 5E model. It is adding illicit, as you could see this thing. It is adding an illicit and extended phase to emphasize activating prior knowledge and promoting the transfer of learning to new context. Both models are based on constructivist learning theory and generally outperform traditional teacher centered model. The illicit phase, it is integrated to engage phase. Illicit draws out students' prior ideas and misconceptions before introducing new material. And whereas the extend phase is integrated with elaborate and evaluative phase. This is a separate phase which is focuses specifically on transferring learning to new real world or abstract situations. So this is the difference between 5E learning model and 7E learning model. So the primary distinction lies in the number of explicit focus of the stages in 5E and 7E model. The 5E model integrates eliciting prior knowledge and extending learning within the existing phase only, while the 7E model separates them into their own distinct steps to ensure that they are not overlooked. Now, what are the activities used in inquiry based learning? The case studies are provided, mini projects are provided. We should have brainstorming task, field visit, simulating based learning, lab based exploration. These are some of the activities used in inquiry based learning. Actually, this tips that you can use in a classroom to have inquiry based learning is start with the questions, allow for exploration, encourage discussion, provide resources, summarize what was learned. These are some of the tips that you could use mm, for activities used in inquiry based learning. As per the new curriculum, that is national education policy, we have case studies, mini projects, brainstorming tasks, field visits, and clubbed with the curriculum itself. Assessment practices in inquiry based learning: give the presentation based evaluation, form the rubrics for assessment, peer and self evaluation, reflection reports, inquiry journals. These are some of the assessment practices in EBL. Sample classroom strategies: start with the real world problems. Yes, divide the students in groups, ask them to prepare the projects in groups, ask each group to develop their own planning phases, ask them to investigate and analyze the things on their own survey and findings, ask them to give the group presentation and take the teacher's feedback by forming the specific rubrics, give them the feedback in the things they are lacking in. What would be the challenges in implementing inquiry based learning is students lack questioning skills initially. This type of learning requires time and planning. Teachers need facilitation skills. Assessment becomes subjective. Resources availability issues are there. So these are some of the challenges. So solution to these challenges is you can provide orientation on inquiry method. Just begin with small task. like problem based learning, provide a question model, provide a project based learning model, have the inquiry cycle. Students are given the opportunity to ask questions, yes, on the specific topic, ask them to share their findings, and this will allow students to explore in depth and share their discoveries, yes. Then for assessment you could use rubrics for evaluation. Real life applications are research based project, community problem solving, that is survey projects. Ask students to do the survey. This particular projects could be used in multidisciplinary sections also. Ask them to participate in hackathon, in different activities. Ask them to participate in technical paper writing, engineering design challenges. The expected learning outcomes, what the student will be learning or how this will be beneficial. The student will be able to demonstrate critical thinking. They would be able to apply problem solving techniques, show evidences based conclusions, work in team effectively, communicate research findings. These are the expected outcomes. I would conclude by saying inquiry based learning is a powerful teaching method that actively engages students, fosters critical thinking, and connects classroom learning to real world situations. By implementing the strategies and model discussed, educators can create a dynamic and stimulating learning environment that will encourage, explore the deep understanding among the learners. By using different models, inquiry based learning could be encouraged. And the important thing is that students will be actively involved in the learning process that will help them to develop a better understanding of the material and to explore their ideas with each other. And this will help them to understand the material in a better way and encourage them to ask questions to make the learning effective. Thank you.